Now, let's welcome our hosts, Jay Cherish and Dame Deity. This is Millennial Intent, conversations that matter.
Welcome to today's episode, The Entitled Generation. Today I'm going to really talk about Gen Z, the young Gen Z, and Gen Alpha. You know, we all know that snazzy, sassy young boppity bopper.
Skibbity beat bop.
Skibbity beat bop in the cashier line that just got her first job or his first job. And we got a whole lot of attitude. Yeah, I'm talking about you. I'm talking about you, Gen Alpha, and you young Gen Zs. Not just you young Gen Zs, some of you 27-year-old Gen Zs. Because let's give you some facts. Gen Zs can go all the way from 1997 to 2012. So I'm talking about some of you was born during that time. Y'all, some real entitled individuals. Maybe not all of you. Let me not categorize you with every single evil person that I've met because I'm venting. Yes, I'm talking about you. But if you have a snooty attitude, entitled, I know it all, don't want to be correct, I'm talking about you. Yes, I'm talking about you. Is it story time? It's story time.
Oh boy.
What the young kids said, clock the tea, sis. Yes, I'm clocking tea.
Okay.
So as an adult, I guess because I am an entitled millennium, I don't like the people that get us mixed up with you Gen Zs and Gen Alphas. We're not the same. We are not the same. Okay. I have respect for my elders. I have respect for people around me. I believe that not just because you earn my respect, but every respect is even due to a dog. But please address me accordingly. Am I wrong? Am I wrong? I have earned these 30 some odd years of life. Treat me as such.
I think it's time that the millennials are starting to sound like their parents.
Exactly. Is that what it is?
Yeah.
We're old now.
Yeah.
Oh, no. We're experienced.
You're old
in age. We're aged. We're like a
seasoned.
glass of wine.
Seasoned.
You. We're seasoned. We got a little flavor.
Yes. Got a little old bay.
We're starting to become our parents. Remember when we didn't
we were raised by you were raised by a silent generationer, and I was raised by a boomer. So
there's a difference.
There is definitely a difference. Yeah.
But I just think this generation, I remember us talking about, let's give the people a little insight. Don't quote me verbatim, you guys. But I know there was this topic on The View about millennials, and they just put this. I just don't want to be even mixed. I'm so tongue tied right now. I'm highly upset. You can hear it in my voice.
Drama.
That we do not. Yeah, the theatrics. You know, I could go on. That we did not want to work, and that millennials just want to, work 2 hours a week and have 3 days off. And I think that this generation, I want to talk about our generation a little bit. We see the pros and cons of working at a job for 3 or 10 years. It's not the same as it was in 1940s and the early 80s and 90s. It's not. Giving yourself and your all to a company, which I feel like as you do your job to the best of your ability, yes. However, have learned that we're not going to be stuck at a job forever and then feel like we're unappreciated as individuals. That's the difference. However, this younger generation don't feel they can just progress in life without any experience. You want to come in with no experience, make $200,000, don't want to be taught, don't want to listen, and then you have your snooty attitude. It's just the attitude for me. It's
not to mention they are the least educated.
They're glued. I know this. Now I'm sounding like my grandma. You are glued to your cell phone and you can't do anything without it. That's the issue. Like, if you have to Google how to boil eggs, I don't want to talk to you. If you want to Google how to brush my hair. I don't want to talk to you. Like, they can't do anything with basic common sense. Oh, that's a whole nother agenda we're going to talk about. The common sense level and the entitlement that goes into it. And the attitude. So it's the entitlement,
but you know
the
what?
attitudes, and a lack of common sense.
I don't have anything to do with the old Gen Zs, but my problem is with the young Gen Zs and the Gen Alphas.
I have a story for the old Gen Zs.
That's who I have beef with. But guess what? I don't blame them. I blame us because we raised them. And we can't blame the Xers. We can't blame anybody but us, because what we've done was we've tried to compensate for what we've gone through. And we've overcompensated so much that we've made really entitled kids that are not going to make it through any type of adversity. I was having a random conversation with somebody. He's like, oh, well, this generation is just so empathetic. Is the generation with us in the room? Where are they? Where are these empathetic peoples? Because all I see from like Gen Alpha and young Gen Zs, and I hate to group them all like that, but it's just so many to count, is that they are very rude. They are very much lovers of themselves. They have no sense of placement. Like, I understand that everybody's afforded respect, but there is a pecking order, whether we like to admit it. Everybody's equal. And that's what you've taught your child. And it's a lie. You know that everybody's not equal. Well, it's supposed to be. It's never going to be like that. There is a hierarchy. There are people that we work under. There will always be people that we are under. And you taught them that they will not bend the knee. Well, guess what? Dracarys, because let me tell you something. They're not going to make it in the work field. Every one of them wants to skippity beep bop bop, be a TikTok star or a YouTuber. And if we get bombed by Russia, that's going to exist. We've taught them zero life skills.
Zero.
They know how to do nothing.
And if it's not TikTok worthy, it's not it. And I want you to continue on that. And I kind of want to go in the middle. I want to get back on the older ones later on, but you're right.
We're coming for them. But the younger ones are too bold. Skills. They're very bold. And I hate to say it. Lord forgive me. Too bold and too dumb to be so vocal.
To be very
bold and too dumb to be so vocal.
But what get me about them, especially the younger kids, they're so vocal, but they're so sensitive.
Oh my! How you a soft thug? A soft ass thug.
And you can't tell them anything.
Nothing.
Like they know it all.
They feel like they fell out of you with all the knowledge of the universe.
And then when you correct them, they have a problem with it. How dare you? But it's funny how, I'm sorry, like I have a 14-year-old. And it's funny how like you're going over homework and they have the audacity to correct you. And I'm just thinking.
Now let's keep in mind that some of these are not new problems. We thought our parents were dumb too.
But I never thought that.
No, but we were never going to say it out loud. That's the difference.
I think I've only thought that maybe one time. I didn't think that I knew it all. I just thought that how dare you think that you can correct me? I think I was feeling myself one day, and I think it was a conversation with you. Remember, we had those battles of we would go at it. Like, okay, if you're right, wrong,
we still go at it.
And I think that maybe it was about. I don't judge me. It was we were having a conversation about if that song was by Christina Milian with what's his name oh my goodness. He's always with Ashanti back in the day. It was what's Ja Rule. Yeah. Okay. Or what's that other girl with the T? Timela, whatever that song was. Yes. And we were at an argument, like I said, it's Christina Milian. You was like, no, it's such and such. And I'm like, no. And then you were right. And then here comes my mother or whatever saying, what y'all talking about? And I'm just thinking,
oh boy.
Why are you in grown people conversation kind of because me and you were going
ungrown.
But I thought that I was in a grown position, and I had to realize that day from the backhand of my face that I wasn't as grown as I thought I was. But this generation, I mean, where I got them pop pops. So it taught me a lesson to, keep my mouth closed and
watch
to speak.
your mouth.
Watch what I say because I wasn't on the same level.
I think we've taken this gentle parenting thing
too far
to the extreme. And it's not gentle parenting. We're permissive parenting. We're not gentle parenting. Gentle parenting just says don't beat your kids to death. Permissive parenting basically means letting your kids run your life and they're doing whatever they can. Gentle parenting is just it's just conflict resolution and natural consequences. But for me, even some of that is not hard enough, especially if you have kids that, maybe, and I'm going to say I have one of my children is autistic, and when her specific type of autism, her mixture can make her extremely hyper focused on negative things. So the normal punishments and the normal consequences don't necessarily apply. Like that doesn't work when you're dealing with people because we do have an influx of children with, ADHD and ADD and Asperger's and different types of, children on the spectrum and people on the spectrum. The consequences have to be different. And you have to understand that even gentle parenting or permissive parenting doesn't always work. You really have to come together with your doctors and you have to come together with your behavioral therapist to kind of do something extra, because our kids do not see and they don't understand right from wrong like we did. Yes, we got our behind beat. And a lot of us were still bad, but a lot of us understood the consequences of getting something. These kids don't see that at all. They're not seeing any kind of cause and effect. I am not promoting violence. I am not promoting child abuse, but I'm saying that when you have kids that understand no kind of negative consequence, they're not going to respond. And then what happens is these kids with these spectrums and all these different kind of things, they're going to end up in jail because there's no natural fear of consequences.
Yeah. And especially with authority figures, there
are no more authority figures.
Yeah, exactly. There's no respect. And I see, and I was talking to my daughter one time and I just like, okay, do this or say this, or just learn when to control your tongue, blah, blah, blah. So you go out like you're going into the police or you get pulled over. And I know a lot of the problem is people don't know how to just, okay, I understand this. What did I do? It's always there. These younger kids, they're so defensive. You're so defensive and you're not receptive to information to get the information out. It's just like, I know I didn't do this. I'm not wrong. Instead of just, okay, let's see what's going on. Yes.
And you're quoting some stuff that,
that
you read on Wikipedia.
Exactly. But using, like you said, conflict resolution that doesn't set in their mind to saying, okay, cause and effect. And I think because they probably took that out of school and the education system.
No, because we as millennial parents have taken conflict. We don't allow them to endure anything. We pad our children so bad that they don't understand natural consequence because we've taken the consequence from them.
Yeah.
We run in there as soon as there's a drop in the hat. Because we're compensating for what we went through, but we're overcompensating in a negative way. We're not exactly. Of course, you should step in if your teacher is abusive to your child. Of course, you should step in if another child is bullying your child. But we should also be teaching life lessons at the same time. If you find, like I had it when my daughter was in third grade, or third or fourth grade, she had an issue with the teacher that was really a bully. I didn't pull her out of the class. I simply told her when I saw that she was exhausted and she's like, Mom, I can't do any more classwork. This teacher seems to hate me because unfortunately you can't just rotate the kids like that. I was like, listen, the only person that has the last say is me. She can't fail you. She can't put it. Do what you can and no more. And I had to teach my daughter that you're not going to get along with every teacher. We're not teaching our kids that they're not going to get along with every person. And you can't run away from every person. You can't just shut down, but you can minimize contact. You can minimize, what you say, and just continue to be respectful, because alert your authorities. Go tell your parents what's going on. I'm going to go talk to the principal. And I did. I went up there. Those people knew me. And from that day on, she still felt stressed until I eventually got her out of there and she graduated out. But she learned that you can't always run for those people. So even though she's on the spectrum and she has these, especially when she has Asperger's, it's sometimes hard for them to deal with those type of emotions. They tend to shut all the way down. She just learned how to keep herself calm. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You can't teach other people how to act, but you can teach you how to act, and you can learn how to act. So she learned how to act from that. I don't want to shield her. And that's another thing we do as parents with kids on the spectrum. We shield them from everything. And then when they're out there, they don't know what to do. They don't know.
And that's the thing. I agree, because I try to install in my daughter like how to resolve a situation, how to be solution driven. Like, a lot of times we're always complaining about the problem, but a lot of these kids don't understand, well, how do we fix it? How is problem solving put into place as you grow? And when you go to a situation, you have to figure out, okay, how did I get to this situation? What am I going to do? And what am I going to do to fix it?
Right.
Instead, it's just like natural breakdown. They break down, and I understand.
They yell or they cry.
Yeah,
or they do both.
They yell, they cry, and then it's back to the thing. Okay, and it's not learning. Remember, you used to go through something and you learn from that situation,
and you know what anything.
Not to do. It's none of that anymore. We're not learning from the situation.
And I think the scariest part is them not knowing any basic life skills.
Yeah. And is that the parents' fault? Is that the school's fault?
Yeah, it's everybody's fault.
Yeah.
Because everybody goes, well, the teachers go, well, it's the parents' job to teach that. And the parents go, well, we sent them to you for 8 hours.
Yeah.
We, as the parents, are the parents, and the school is part of our village.
And
we're all together in this.
Yeah. And there is no togetherness when it comes to disciplining and how I think that everybody wants to raise their kids on a certain way. I understand that. However, we over influence. We let the television, we let social media, we let TikTok and everyone parent your kids, because we're all busy and the babysitter is your phone. And now these kids don't have realization of anything. They're playing these video games and they're doing TikTok dances all day. And you're right. They have no life skills to apply. They can't read and write and distinguish information. Nobody's sitting there and you're not sitting in the library anymore. You're not reading to comprehend. You can't even dissect a sentence. You can't.
Oh my gosh, honey, you don't understand. Just don't worry about it. Just don't worry about it. Come back to it. Just come back to it. Girl, you're 30. You still don't know how to read that sentence.
But let's not talk about how AI is going to prevent them from doing anything. That's a whole nother discussion. But we're not taking the information and applying it, because they let the kids, like I heard one lady, there was a podcast about, you guys, I wish I knew the name, but you guys look it up if you want to. It's a lady that was saying that she doesn't allow her kids to take a bath every day because, and it was a doctor on there.
Girl, I was swinging, and the way I stopped swinging when you said that.
And she said that I do not want to argue with my kids over silly things. Like, she believed that taking a bath, I let them make their own decision, because she wanted her kids to have body autonomy at 6 and 8 and 10 or whatever her age of her kids.
I think again, and even as a clinician, I think we're using words that we don't, and I'm not a clinician, she's a clinician. We're using words in the wrong context, because that's not body autonomy. First of all, that's hygiene. That's basic hygiene. And what we as a group have to remember, that we're not just raising our kids for us, we're raising these people for the world. And if you raising people, we're going to get all that stuff back that we had in the 17 and 1800s where people didn't take care of themselves. Mm-hmm. You don't have to, I completely disagree. You don't have to necessarily wash every day, but you need to be getting that water every other day.
If you're
sweating, like if you outside, you get a bath every day.
You need a bath. I mean, to each of their own. But this is the thing. I like what you said, and I heard something like this from Michelle Obama. When you're raising your kids, you're not. See, that's the thing that people forget. You think that they belong to you. Yes, they're your children, but you're raising them to be independent individuals when they grow up. And
when they grow up, they're not.
You're not letting when they them. Grow that's up. Why they're 30-year-olds sleeping in their parents' basement in the room down the hall, because you haven't given that room to grow. You haven't given those skills. They can know how to twerk on a handstand, but they don't know how to apply information to keep a job. But when you get to these jobs, I remember I went to the store earlier and it was a young girl. You could tell she was in high school. So I think she's a Gen Alpha. She had just this nastiest attitude in the store as I'm ringing up. I mean, she didn't speak, and I don't really care because I've been in customer service. However, it's just like we get to these jobs, you know what the job is on the dotted line. I'm not saying you're supposed to be happy-go-lucky every time, but I think it's a sense of respect that you got to know that this is a place of work. This is what's paying you your dollar. I don't care if it's $1, $2, $3, whatever you're getting paid, you signed up for it. And I think that that's the part of the parent's job. And when in schooling, that you're teaching kids that relational aspect when it comes to the public and respect what kind of people. And then,
everybody is due to it.
Everybody's due respect. Then they grow up and they get these jobs, that dead-end jobs, because they have nasty attitudes. Mm-hmm. They don't want to grow. They don't know how to grow. They don't seek the information to grow. They want fast money, scamming money. And then they wonder why they're in the position.
TikTok money.
They wonder why the jailhouses are full and they're having so many issues. Because, like you said earlier, there's no integrity. There's no honesty. There's no respect. There's none of this we're teaching because we want our children to like us. And we want to be their friends and we want them to be happy. You're not going to be happy every moment.
And there's a time and a place for all of that. The time is not when you're rearing them, though.
Yes.
When you're rearing them, you give them the safe space to be able to tell you what they need to tell you, but you set the boundary to be who you need to be to remind them that I'm still the adult and I'm still the one that has more life experience to you. I am okay if you want to put your input on certain aspects, but at the end of the day, what I say is what I say. And this is not because I hate you. This is not because I'm not listening to you. This is because I have enough life experience to know that this is what it needs to be for now. And when you're old enough to make your own decisions, I will respect whatever you need to do. My issue is we're doing a disservice to our children by giving them everything that we've never had instead of teaching them all the things that we never knew at the same age. We're not giving them any tools to use. They're not going to know how to do anything. They already don't know how to do anything. If my kids don't have phones, they don't have any of that stuff. They're finally just getting into technology and different things like that. And I already see the attitude shift because of how quickly that they become addicted to electronics. The fact that our kids can't read because they can only read in short bursts, because we have them so connected. We have them so jacked in. And the fact that our kids as a whole can barely decipher math codes and different things like that as a whole, we are doing our kids a disservice because instead of helping them and teaching them through it, we're giving them the answers. And I am not saying let your kids struggle. If you do not read context clues and you are picking up on that, it sucks to be you. I'm not here to hold your hand. What I'm saying is we are here to guide our children through the adversity, not give them every single answer. There are times that we need to step in and be the end all be all. And then there's times where we need to guide them through it. And what a lot of us do is we end up going, well, you're 18. Now it's your fault, but you haven't guided them properly from 0 to 18. And now there's a cliff that they just fell off. And I refuse to let my kids be one of the statistics that finally get to be 18 years old and they're hit with the real world without telling them the consequences before they get there. I'm going to let them understand that, look, if you don't finish the homework, you failed the grade. You fail the grade, that's on you.
I agree. I think a lot of parents are raising their best friends.
Yeah, and they're not your friends. They're not to stroke your ego.
No, but you have to teach them. And I thought, especially with single parents, we have to remember that disciplinary, what telling them right from wrong, they don't know how to turn it off. Because you have to be the protector. If you're the single parent, you're the father, you're the mother, you're the caregiver, you're the doctor, and then we can't distinguish
the lawyer.
That line for parenting. And as a parent, we have to understand that we have to equip our children and equip them for life. And it's just like one thing, it's a disservice. You do all you can to your kids, and then they go to the school with y'all messed up kids. And they're easily persuaded because of peer pressure, because you didn't do your job as a parent. And now all the kids are suffering because, I had I don't want to go in depth what the kid did, but they brought some stuff from home because obviously they're minors. They can't buy it themselves. And they only share negative aspects. Instead of that parent, they said, well, my parent doesn't care what I do. My parent doesn't care if I slouch. They don't care if I eat right. They don't care if I eat vegetables. They don't care. And I'm just thinking, like, you're hearing these stories and it's like, what are we doing as parents? Do we know this is, and then we wonder why they grow up to be these entitled adults and these adults that don't know how to control their anger. These adults don't know how to
society.
They don't know how to communicate effectively, and they have to be taught. Like, you're teaching people at jobs, like, how not to yarn over the salad. I'm just making an example. I'm not being funny, but
do not scratch your weave while putting the burger bun on the McDouble.
Wash
Thank you.
Hands when you leave the bathroom. Like, you're teaching grown adults that should have learned this
a long time ago.
And I think that we wonder why they act out. I seen this grown man one time. He didn't get his way, and he was just screaming to the top of his lungs like a child. And I'm just thinking, that's that same kid that's on the floor, when you're in Publix and the parent says no, and then they fall out and have a tantrum. That's what kind of adult they be. That's what kind of adult they grow up to be.
And people get mad when you say, well, I've never experienced that.
Exactly.
I ain't never went through that. I don't know. Oh, you must be a perfect parent. Nah,
no,
but
we have a
try me
military
though.
base.
You ain't gonna try me though.
No, not in public. We don't do that. And I tell my child,
and I ain't got to swing on nobody.
No, but you represent me when we go outside this house. I think because as parents, as me and you, we have the kind of same parenting style. I had that pep talk before we go outside. You will not try me when we go out this door.
I've never had that thought. I've never had that conversation.
Listen, I had this conversation is respect. I remember one time the little baby was rolling all through the store aisles, and my child looked at me, and I was getting angry for the mother, like, looking at my daughter, don't you ever. I've never had that problem. People that know me and know my daughter, I never had a disciplinary problem when she
in public. I've never.
Because I've never. Even when I had all your girls too one day, we had them all down the line. Remember when you had a lot of them?
Mm-hmm.
And they walked in this lady, and it was like, say it was all 5 of them. They was walking hand in hand.
It's 7. It was 7.
It was 7. No, I only took 5 with me that day. The other 2 were still at the house.
Oh, okay.
And they were walking hand in hand, and we were going into, I think it was a TJ Maxx, and they all sat there quietly. They didn't even have a phone, nothing. And the lady was like, I'm so impressed. And I'm just thinking, this is normal. But
what do you mean?
And not
a whooping in sight.
Not a whooping. Didn't have to say
no.
And then treated them, and the treat was, hey, we're going to go to Dollar Tree. Everybody gets $1. That was before it went to $1.25. And you can all get something. And they knew what they wanted to get. They say, hey, auntie, can I get this? And your kids were so polite. But we have to think about that. Your kid's bad, and you don't even want to deal with it, and you send them out to the world. Instead of nipping it in the bud. Remember that? We nip it in the bud. What's the problem?
What's the problem?
Fix it, Jesus. Fix it. But I think we forget that as parents. We think that our children, we're rearing our children for ourselves, and we're not. We're training up them. They're going to grow up one day. And I think they forget that. And then you start trying to adult them at 16 when they already have their attitudes and their ways and
now it's WWF wrestling every day because now they're not listening to you.
No, because now it's pimp slap time and it's like, what's going on? Like
now you finna go to jail.
Yeah, put some paws on them and I didn't want to, but you know.
Well, I always said I wouldn't fight no kids, so.
No, I'm not trying
but I'm just saying, like, keeping the standards and making the rules very clear. And little kids only need so much correction.
Yeah.
Like I've definitely not always had the same parenting style. And I had to, as a young parent, and I tried to listen to older people and basically, you want us to choke the kids to death, but then you got the other people on the other side, you know, they don't want to do anything to their kids and they got them running around like they're a bunch of whoop-de-woos. And I finally came somewhere, in the middle where I ain't no killer, but don't push me.
Yeah.
So it's just like, and that's where I am. I tell my kids, I am whatever you are. I will act according to however you act. I will escalate according to however you escalate. Please do not think for a second that we won't go toe to toe. I love you and I want to talk to you. Like the minute I don't want to talk, everything goes off.
I'm the difference. I'm the
everything goes off.
Parent. I'm the correction. I'm always giving like, this is why I'm telling you. This is the reason I'm trying to give you. Okay, I'm disciplining you. Why? It's not discipline. I'm correcting you because this is what you did that caused it. It's like, it's always that conflict. But I got to the point, like every child is different. I know that every child, if something that might work for my child might not work for your child, you have to understand your child. And if your child has a disciplinary action, some people like, disciplinary problem. Thank you. Some people might say, "Oh, I'm just taking their phone," but sometimes it's more than that because I've taken phones and whatever, and then you give it back to them, they do the same thing.
Well, so now my problem is the people who just go, "Well, you can't do that. You can't take their phone." So you're contributing to their behavior and why they don't listen to their teachers.
Yeah.
You're contributing to why they don't listen to their principals and they're coming in there and they're slapping the crap out of grown adults. You're contributing to their delinquency and why they have no respect. I literally just watched a documentary on 3 little boys who went to jail a couple of years ago, like 12, 15, and 14 or something like that, for unaliving 3 children.
Oh, wow.
That's what I mean by lack of parenting. And they're respectful to their mom, but they're living a whole nother life when they're out there in the street.
But they know, and some of them say it's survival skills. And I understand there's a lot going on.
Girl, what? No.
But I think that the parent knows that they're raising a demon. And then they just... No, I'm serious. You know who your child is. And I've seen it so many times. You know it, but a mother will love anything. They're in denial. And this is the thing I don't do as a parent. I know my child. And I know she's a liar. And I know, I'm not saying she's a liar, Jenner, but I just said hypothetically.
I don't care what anybody says. Like House says, everybody lies.
Everybody lies. And this is the thing. You know who your child, instead of facing what the issue is, they blame everybody else in the world, then deal with the problem within. Yep. Instead of people like, well, I know my child. You should know your child. My child won't do that. You know your child's a liar. You know your child is disruptive to the school. Instead of getting that child individual help to getting to the root of why they're acting that way.
Correct. Yeah.
On the world, it's the teacher's fault. No, it's not. You need to go get our Nathan some help. You need to get. I'm just making an example, but I'm just saying, seriously, as parents, we have to start looking at them as our little babies and look at the situation for what it is and get them the help that they deserve. So they won't go. It just baffles me how they go to public school and they don't come back learning because it's so much drama
Mm-hmm.
Learn that there's no time for education. And I know it's like little high school and little elementary stuff, but some of that information is like, where do the parents draw the line to teach their kids that you're going to school to get an education? Why? Well, I don't see the importance of it. That's the problem. You go to get an education, yet you're going to gain social skills in the process, but that's not what you're there for.
Social skills is unimportant. I'd rather be rich alone.
You and me
I
both.
don't need to be social for nothing. But tell me about these older Gen Zs.
So
let's hear your bone to pick.
The problem I have with the 27-year-old teachers is there's no respect. So let's give an example. If my name was Dr. John Smith, and I say, hi, my name is Jane Smith. My daughter is Susie Smith. What are you going to call me? Are you going to call me Jane?
Miss Smith?
Miss
or
Smith?
Miss Jane?
Exactly. And not even Jane. Hey, how you doing? Excuse me. First, I don't know you. I'm from old school. It's Miss Smith until you correct me and say, no, call me Jane. You know? It's the lack of respect right there. The tone, right? The tone.
Mm-hmm.
We're not on the same level. I'm grown. I don't care if we're not. You're teaching my child. So you just
But it's proper etiquette. It's just proper etiquette.
There's no etiquette.
Yeah.
It's the tone. It's the entitled.
Yeah.
It's the tone and how they speak to you. I talked to an older teacher who didn't know me right away. She said, "Hi, Miss Smith. How are you doing?" And I just felt, okay, this is a level we're on. And then I was like, no, call me Jane, you know? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Then it's the disrespect and I just don't know how to explain it. So
the preconceived ideas that they already have about parents.
Not even that. It's the storytelling, like the whole attitude. And I said, hey, I want to make a meeting in regards to my child. I want to check on her education because I believe, just going to the spill. Well, let me tell you the lies that your child have told. I'm like, wait a minute. wait. And it was just that instead of teaching, you can just tell a younger teacher because it's crank that nene and it's all like straight to the point. There's no, meaning respecting as a parent, like as someone who's teaching your child. Like I respect you as teaching your child, but the kids think you guys are all friends because they think you're all in the same age gap, and you're letting them call you Jane, and you're calling me.
Sidebar. I'm just curious. I wonder if this has something to do with the amount of like teacher entered student relationships. Like maybe there should be an age gap on teachers. Like if you're like too close to your students, maybe you shouldn't be allowed to teach them. Because I completely agree with what you're saying.
I don't think.
I know that's weird, but hear me out.
Two of her teachers are just in general 22 and a 27-year-old, and they tell the kids they're 22 and 27, and
like that has nothing to do with anything.
And they're oversharing their business. I learn all the tea. This is what they call it. The tea that I hear at school.
Clock the tea. Yeah,
they're clocking tea, and it's just like, okay, where's that teacher respect line, even with their students and with the And they come off with these really nasty attitudes when you're trying to get information. They just automatically tear you down. Well, I don't know what this is. It's just the nasty attitude. And it's like, listen, I'm grown. I'm turning into your parents. And I see why when you get a certain age, it's that I don't want to be bothered age. And I think that that's a young people age because I'm just really about the respect. And I don't like it. I don't like you coming to me.
Sorry, I don't mean to laugh, but oh my gosh.
Some type of way. Like, I don't like nasty attitude with lack of respect and that tolerance. And it's because they have book smart sometimes, they don't have common sense, even when they're messaging, and it's just hard. And it's like, you're the person that's educating my child. And
I feel for the teachers because I couldn't be one. I get it. And how the kids treat y'all, and baby.
Because, I wouldn't.
Could be me.
I volunteered a lot of teaching gigs, and we don't play that in my class. I love to have fun, yes. But listen, you respect Miss Jane, and I will respect you. We
Yeah,
gonna listen.
see, this is
Hey,
why my kids are homeschooled, baby,
yeah.
because couldn't be me. Couldn't be me.
And I commend the teachers because there's some that are really good teachers and they're
Absolutely.
unpaid and overworked. I get that. And it's all you bad parents that send your trifling child to school and you know little Ray Ray and
Little
J-
Betsy Jane.
little Jake and Betsy Boo and Mary Jane need some help. You need to take them to the doctor and stop feeding them that sugary cereal because you get them high on that addicted. What they call it's not regular crack, it's sugar crack. And then send them off to school and wonder why they can't sit still all day. Okay, that's food for thought.
Let me give him some Mountain Dew. It counteracts his ADHD.
I'm gonna give you Mountain Dew and send you out to the world.
What in the trailer park, Jaden, is going on here?
But we need to learn that. And I just think that when they're younger students and I mean younger teachers, they just kind of lack that respect that makes them good teacher. And I think they'll once they go on and to become a seasoned teacher, they'll start seeing like, okay, where to draw the lines. But just incorporate that and just saying
it's the same thing as your kids are not your friends.
Yeah.
Your students are not your friends.
Your students are not your friends. Exactly.
I don't care if y'all close in age. You're not.
You're not.
They don't need to be clocking the tea. No one should be gagged. Skitty bop 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 your behind in that chair and shut up.
The younger teachers are saying they want to be more relatable to their students.
But you're not. But you're not. And you're crossing the line.
But I'm saying they're doing all that. And then when you come home and you ask your kids, what did you learn today? They can't give you any answer but clock that tea. There's a problem.
And the other half of the teachers are sleeping with them. So I don't want you to be close to my
child. And then the other half of the teachers are asleep in class. So where's the balance?
I miss the old school teachers.
I miss those real teachers that actually taught. I mean, these teachers all do. They want to be on Instagram so bad. I see all these teachers talking about their lesson, but they're talking about a whole lot of nothing with personal agendas. And I'm back to that agenda word. Yes.
There goes you go.
Listen, I could go on all day. As parents, we know.
And I know a lot of teachers. I know a lot of my friends who are amazing teachers.
Yes.
But just like we have to acknowledge our teachers, we have to acknowledge our faults as parents and educators in general. And I think we are doing some of our kids a complete disservice with our lack of balance, with our lack of, the thing with kids is when you give them an inch, they're going to take a mile. And baby, they're going to run that. And I got kids that will run that whole football field.
Yes.
Every time. So it's about the balance for the teachers and the parents as well.
And the words of Michelle Obama, what you're practicing as your youth is what kind of person you'll grow up to be. So if you're practicing being a slob, you might grow up to be a slob. So you're practicing. I love what she said. I'm like, you know what? I never thought of it that way. So as parents, we're teaching our kids what kind of person they'll be. And most of the time, when you're sending your kids out to work, they care nothing about what you're saying. It's not do what I say, it's not do what I do. You have that living example because they only pick up on your bad habits. So we have to be the example so that our kids can be, I know nobody's perfect. We're not saying that, but they have to know how to live in certain situations and know how to adapt and cope and on their own. We have to teach them how to be able to life. What the kids say, it's not lifing. We have to know, literally, we have to teach them how to use the skills, and then they'll have the information so they can apply it outside the home instead of getting out there and they don't know how to make any conscious decision, like south the door.
Yep.
Any closing thoughts?
Y'all, it's not too late. Nobody is the perfect parent
at all.
And there's no manual on a living, walking, breathing future human being. But what we have to remember is they're not fully grown. They're one day going to be fully grown. But until then, we have to make the conscious decisions to teach them and to try to bring them as much balance as possible. there is a time and a place to be a friend. There is a time and a place to be a protector and a leader and to guide them. And we have to be in that neutral seat because our children are relying on us to give us everything that they need. And that includes their schooling and, their normal everyday things. So instead of giving all of our kids everything we never had, let's teach our kids all the life lessons without the trauma that was given to us. And so they can go on and share that with their fellow friends. So, as always, treat people how you want to be treated.
I love that. Treat people how you want to be treated. And just remember, as you're rearing your youth and your children, they're not just for you. They're for the world. Let them be the best that they can be. Teach them discipline, teach them integrity, teach them honesty, but let them understand how to control their stress, how to understand balance, and how to integrity and perseverance, not just to be beat up on, but how to survive in this world, if you may say. Mm-hmm. But we thank you guys for tuning in to Millennial Intent, Conversations That Matter. I'm your girl, Jay Cherish.
And I am Dame Deity.
And we'll see you guys next time.
Bye. To hear more from Millennial Intent, hit like and subscribe. And don't forget to tell a friend.